Hello, welcome to Bot. And on this video, we'll be guiding you through on how to use the Tier 3 package. But before we use the Tier 3 package, we'd like to show you how you can successfully log in your email accounts into Bot. Alright, so now let's proceed. Alright, click on Build Campaigns, click on Tier 3 Campaigns. Alright, so for you to be able to log in your email accounts, all you have to do is just visit Google. Okay, so now let me show you the process. Go to your notes, copy the Google link, head back to Bot, Control V. How many seconds to spend on Google sites? So now let's give it 20 to 30 seconds. Now let's click on Add Tags. So now, next thing to do is to click on Accept or Block Pop-ups. The reason why we'll be using this every time we visit Google is because sometimes, or majority or all the time, Google shows users coming in from Europe that doesn't have an email logged in. Google tell them to accept the cookie policy that is being displayed on the screen. So in order to combat that, we need to make the bot automatically detect it and helps us cancels it out, or rather accepts the pop-up. So now to do that, head back to your notes, copy the experts. All right. So now Control V. So now let's give it 3 to 5 seconds. Click on Add Tags. So the next thing we have to do is to select sleep time. Remember, we are logging in our email account, so we need enough time to log in our email account. So now let's give it 900 seconds to 1000 seconds, or rather still, let's say 2000 seconds and 3000 seconds. So now add it to the tags. Right, move this upward, move this to the very beginning now. So now let's name it login email account. So now let's proceed to save the tags. So there you go. So now let's start our process. Remember, we are logging in. Okay, for this demonstration, we'll be using 3 email accounts. So now let's select 3 bots. Select your location. Select your campaign. So now remember to always use profiles when logging in email accounts. Remember to always use profiles, or else your logged in session will not be saved to your PC. So now your login session are always saved in the download folder, whereas you can easily upload your logged in email account to your Google Drive and thereby installing it on another RDP or on another device somewhere else, so you don't lose your session. So now let's minimize this. So remember to always select this, use profiles. So now that we are launching 3 bots, you can say one or 2 bots to launch at once, one or two. So it's either it launch one at once or two at once. Then later on it will launch the third one. So now how many seconds to launch between each thread? So now let's give it 5 to 10 seconds. So that will be all. So now let's hit on start. So now the moment I hit on start, you would realize that it creates a profile for each of these bots we are launching. So now let's click on start. Pay attention to this download folder. You see something right now. Okay, let me minimize this so you can see. So now hit on start. Now observe this section. As you can see, it just created a folder for the bot profiles. Now look at it, UK bot family. Okay, so it has created 2 profiles for UK bot family 1 and 0. It will also create the same thing for UK bot family 3. So now let's pay attention to this. Okay, so now we are waiting for UK bot family 3. Okay, Okay, since after UK bot family 1 and 2 are done, that is when UK bot family 3 will launch. Okay, let's start the process again. Let's make everything run at once. Let's make everything run at once. So clear the logs, head back to start profile, select your bots 1, 2, 3. So select your location, select your campaign. Remember to always select this. So how many bots to launch at once? 3. So we want, for the sake of logging in emails, we'll launch 3 bots at once. 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, so now let's start the process again. Now watch the logs and also watch the so you can see that it created a profile storage for bot 2. So it had previously created profile storage for bot 0 and 1. So it just went ahead to create a bot storage for bot family 2. So as you can see, they are all clicking on the pop-up successfully. So you have nothing to worry about. So now let's proceed to log in our email account. So now, bot 0, okay, since the third bot is bot 0, this one is bot 0. So now let's log in our first email into bot 0. So now let's sign in. All right, so for the purpose of this video, I created 3 dummy accounts. So now let's proceed to log in. Banner bot 1 at email.com. So now let's sign in. Okay, it's asking for our password. Let's give it our password. Okay, saying we should select 47 on our working Techno. 47. So I just selected 47. Okay, since we are in already. So but zero is having our first email account. But zero, this one is having our first email account. So that's it, guys. We successfully logged in one email account. See? All right. So now let's proceed to log in our second email account. Let's close this. Uh, bot one. Okay, bot one should be the second bot here. Okay. So since this one is bot one, so now let's log in our second email to bot one. Remember, we just recently logged in our email to bot zero. So now we're about to log in our second dummy email to bot one. So now let's repeat the same thing. Banner bot two at email.com. So now let's proceed to login. Okay, let's input our password. Okay, saying we should select 52 on our dummy phone. So I just selected 52. Okay, we are in already. So now let's try the last one, which is Cubana bot 3. So you can always ignore this. You can always ignore this. So we are not adding any. Let's go back to google.com. So we are logged in already. As you can see, Cubana bot 2. All right, so let's close this. All right, so for the final and last stage, we are logging in Cubana bot 3. So after this, we'll proceed to create tags or campaigns for tier 3 package. So now let's log in our third email, Cubana bot 3 at email.com. Sorry about that. All right, so now let's proceed. Okay, let's proceed to input our passwords. Okay, so Google did not ask for verification. So now let's proceed. So now that we have logged in our dummy email account successfully, we'll proceed to create tags for tier 2 package because tags for tier 3 package because what we have in tier 3 is mainly for Google search, not just Google search, any other browser search. So I'll show you guys how to go about that. So for now, okay, since you are, now that we are done, okay, let me show you the account. I'll launch these three bots again so you can see they all have their storage session saved. So now let me close this. Let me expand this a bit. So now remember to clear the logs. So now let me stop the process. So now let me launch them again so you can see for yourself. Remember we had bot 0, 1, and 2. So these three bots contains our dummy email accounts. So now let me launch them again so you can see that we no longer need to log in our emails again before we can access them. So this one is selected, login email accounts, use profiles, three bot at once. You can ignore that one. So now let's start it again. So you can see they all have their email session saved. Can you see? This one is so this one is Cubana bot 2. This one is Cubana bot 2. Let's wait for the rest. This Cubana bot 1. Can you see that? You see that it is all saved. Why? Because we are using profiles. Now let's check the last one, which is this should be Cubana bot 3. Okay, Cubana bot 3. Can you see? So whatever research or search we make on these profiles, it gets saved automatically. No need for you logging in your email again since you've selected usage of profiles. So now these are the profiles. The good thing about this is that you can upload this to your OneDrive or Google Drive, then download it on another RDP or local computer. Then you continue from there. So that's the good thing about this. So you can just upload this to your OneDrive or Google Drive, then install it on another RDP or local computer. So that way you don't get to lose your history. So now let me close down the bot. So we proceed to create tags for tier 3 package. So let me clear the logs. Let's head back to start process. Let's stop the bot. Stop. So now let's proceed to create campaigns for tier 3. So now head over to build process. Click on build campaign, then tier 3. So you might want to leave this in case some bots are not logged in. Okay. So now let's proceed. So now that we have our our email logged in, so in cases where they get signed out automatically, you still have to add this accept or block pop-ups. So now let's proceed to create a tags for Google search. So now go back to your notes, copy this, paste it here, Control V. Okay, Control V, 20 to 30 seconds. Click on add tags, then accept or block pop-ups. Remember we copied the URL which is meant to accept or block the purpose. So this is for accepting the cookies terms and condition. So you head over to Cubana bot, Control V, 3 to 5 seconds. Click on add tags. Remember to always put this at the top. Remember to always put this at the top. So now let's give it another one, sleep. Uh, okay, let's give it sleep. Three, okay. Okay, since we want to copy experts matching URLs, we want to make a Google search, a Google keyword search. Okay, oh, I exited it first. Okay, let's try again. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, let's start the process one more time. This time around, we are using just one bot, so we can copy the expert for Google search. Let's use our UK. Okay, let's use profiles. So we are only using the bot 0. So just one bot launch, one bot launch. Okay, this only selected. Okay, let's start the process.